Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate Breakdown for Monday, June 3rd. We made it. We're in June. Baseball season is flashing by. Pretty soon it's going to be a good old football season. All right, now before we get into today's slate, come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to everything we do, all the props, all the DFS. You get it all, one low price. Get in. Come on, let's go. Good old LineStar. All right, so today we will go over yesterday's perfect lineups and the winning lineups on both slates. We will then follow that up by pitchers to consider today and some stacks. Now, let's get on to the perfect lineup from yesterday. We had an interesting slate. Andrew Heaney was the pitcher you wanted on FanDuel. He was only 7,600, put up 49. And then outside of that, there wasn't really one offense that went nuts. However, there were a couple key players you really wanted. Kettle Marte, Gunnar Henderson, Rafael Devers all did some serious work. We were a ways from the max salary. 312.8 was the perfect lineup score. And the winning lineup went to Hendu42, who won 20K. Congrats, Hendu. And what he did, he had a good old Cole Reagan's 4% owned, 37. And then had a two-man Texas, three-man Pittsburgh, and a two-man Boston stack. 3-2-2-1 was his lineup construction, and I gotta say that we have now seen this lineup construction a couple times throughout the last week or two winning. And so, maybe we need to consider this option a little bit more than previous. I generally like to at least have one four-man stack, but hey, 3-2-2-1 has been getting there lately. It is something to consider when making lineups. There is still a lot of correlation in there. It's just you got to get a little bit more right than one big team and then a couple side bets. All right, let's get over to DraftKings here. Perfect lineup, Luis Medina, Andrew Heaney. So pay down at pitcher, kind of got it done here. Almost used all the salary with paying down at pitcher. And then it was all one-offs. When he was a Padres, as I like to call him, Big Dick Vic, putting up 14. Rowdy Tellez, Marte, Devers, Gunnar, Royd Garcia, Jackson got in there, and TJ Fredel. So all one-offs. And then the winning lineup went to Eric X, Nick Lodolo, Hunter Brown were the two pitchers that made it. Neither of the pitchers really did much. That's why those pay-down options really went well. Pitching was just kind of rough yesterday. Nobody really set itself apart. And then winning lineup-wise, it was a 4-3-1 on DraftKings, which we generally see a stack of 5 win. Yesterday, it was a stack of 4 that got it done, and they won by 0.05. So barely won. But congrats to Eric X, as you did win, and you got it done. Now, let's move on. I do think it's very interesting, though, that a team in Houston that only put up 3 runs had a 4-man stack. And, Myers didn't really do much, but he had a steal that saved the day for him. Tucker only had 7. Bregman had 19. Vic had 14 because of his home run. Really what did it for him was having Tellez and Marte just kind of pulled him along there. So congrats to Eric X. You won. Let's get into today's slate. Let's get into the fun. Starting with pitchers, highest owned, Justin Verlander, 8,800, 4-star alert score here. He's versus the Cardinals, who aren't great. However, the Cardinals have started to hit a little bit better lately. Verlander's had a great run where he's just dominated some bad offenses. Detroit, Oakland, Seattle's not necessarily bad, but they aren't good, that's for sure. And he's done absolutely great with them. His K rate over the last 5 is up to 25%. So I think that definitely has something to do with the fact that he's played a lot of guys that strike out, or a lot of teams that strike out. When he faced Milwaukee, he only had 3 Ks. Versus the Yankees, only 2. Cleveland, only 2. So I think his stuff at this point in his career is largely based on who he is facing. Now, St. Louis strikes out a little bit, so maybe there is a little bit of strikeout upside here as they strike out at 25%. And they have low WOBA, low ISO versus righties. One thing is that he is much worse at home, averaging 27% less fantasy points at home. Now, I'm still very, very scared of Verlander. He's had great games. His FIP is still almost 5 over the last 5. His FIP over the last 20 is still 4.3. So, once again, not great. And that 22% K rate over the last 20 just doesn't give me a ton of courage, being high owned, that he's really going to make it happen. 25% combined K rate. Look, I'm not telling you to cut him out of your player pool. I am fine having a little bit, but I'm definitely not trying to go all in on Justin Verlander at high ownership in this spot. But pitching is weird today. So next we got Kevin Gausman. 8K Kevin Gausman is way too cheap. I got to say that first. He appears to be back. He appears to be pitching very well. He has a FIP of 2.08 over his last 5, 30% K rate. Low walks are back there. Striking out 11 per 9. StatCast data looks solid. I think Gausman is underpriced. It is against an Orioles team, so it is very scary. I get it. He's averaging 35% less fantasy points at home. The Orioles team is solid, so I don't necessarily love picking on the Orioles, but at 8K, I think 20 plus is very, very realistic to him, and Gausman is good enough to shut down any offense. So I think there is still a very high ceiling here, and I'm willing to take some chances with Kevin Gausman just because he is such a good pitcher versus a good offense. Next, we got Zach Wheeler versus Milwaukee. Milwaukee's been hitting the ball well. 348 WOBA versus righties, 166 ISO versus righty. So this is not a very good matchup for Wheeler, but Wheeler's been pitching great. And we know he is a stud pitcher. 2.76 FIP over his last 20. 3.06 over his last 5. K rate is solid. He's allowing probably a little too many fly balls and too many barrel balls. But all in all, I don't mind going to Wheeler. He's too good of a pitcher to ignore on a spot where Verlander's your highest owned and Gausman is your second highest owned. So I don't mind going to Wheeler. Next, we got Skubal. Now, Skubal, I think, is clearly, as far as this season, the guy that is pitching the best of this bunch, and really possibly the best in baseball. Huge K rate, 33% K rate over his last 5, 32.4 over his last 20, 1.96 FIP over his last 5, 2.17 over his last 20. Guy is pitching absolutely incredible. Now, Texas has hit him well. 349 average, 186 ISO, only a 17% K rate. But I got to bring up that it was really just this one game where they got to him. 5 innings, 5 runs, only 4 Ks. Last time they saw him, 2 earned runs, 6 Ks. That was earlier this season. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 4 Ks. I think he can shut down this Texas offense, and I definitely do not think he should be the 4th highest owned pitcher on this slate. He is absolutely interesting. Next, we got Matt Waldron. I say it every time. It's hard to talk about consistency when you're a knuckleballer, but this guy is pitching very, very well. 2.8 FIP over his last 5 starts, 29% K rate. I've seen articles asking if he has the best knuckleball ever, which I think it's way, 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 way too early to say that. as far as his career so far. But hey, his ball is really good, and he does have some good secondary and tertiary pitches. I think Waldron's fine in this spot. I still think there's going to be a big-time fall-off in this Angels offense. Joe Adele has fallen off. I think others are going to fall off. And frankly, over the long term, this Angels offense is a 300 WOBA, strikes out 22% versus righty. So I don't mind trying to pick on some Angels today with Waldron. 26% combined K rate is pretty high at 7,400. When he is not super chalk, I think it's absolutely warranted to take some shots on Waldron. Don't mind going there whatsoever. Next, we got Mackenzie Gore. This is probably the best hitting weather on the slate here. That in Colorado. Both temperatures are like mid-80s. Winds are blowing slightly out here in Washington. And Mets striking out 22%, but they are very good versus lefties. 336 WOBA, 195 ISO, so they hit lefties fairly hard. Gore, however, has been just great lately. Shut down an Braves offense, shut down Seattle, shut down Boston. Did okay versus Philly, just, not good enough for DFS because he didn't have the strikeouts there. But he has faced extremely good offenses this whole year and has a 2.91 ERA to show for it and striking out 11 per 9. I think Gore is absolutely showing his potential right now. This is a guy that was a super highly touted prospect for a long time, has dealt with some injuries, and absolutely appears like he is healthy and ready to go. And versus the Mets, I don't mind taking some shots on him. I know the Mets WOBA, their ISO has been good, but Gore, frankly, has been extremely good, and I don't mind taking some of him. I think he is one of the elite pitchers in this league. We're just kind of be a little bit early to that show to think that, but he's good. Don't mind staying there. I do have to bring up the fact that he has a 4.32 WOBA over his last 20. We have seen the inconsistency in him, but those highs are high enough for me to very much want to take some chances on him. Again, I'm not going all in. He's a low-owned guy for a reason. The projection systems don't absolutely love him, but I think the projection systems might be a little low based on, the last couple of years, him having that inconsistency. So far this year, he's been pretty consistent and been very good. And I think that's what we're going to see more often than not with him at this point. Next, Grayson Rodriguez versus Toronto Blue Jays. Blue Jays hit righties well. Grayson's averaging 20% less fantasy points went away. But, hey, all in all, this guy has been pitching very well. 3.49 FIP over his last 5. 3.16 over his last 20. Throwing, 90-ish pitches a game. There's some upside. Toronto doesn't strike out a ton versus righties. 20.4 over the last 150 games and 17 over the last 20. I don't see huge upside in the K department here, but Grayson Rodriguez is good enough that I don't mind taking some at low ownership here. Next, Nathan Eovaldi. I got to bring up the fact that he only went 3 innings and 37 pitches his first time out off the IL. So for that reason, I'm out. I just do not expect him to have enough. And I imagine we will probably push his projection down a little bit just because we got to be a little bit worried about that pitch limit today. Next, Andrew Abbott. I can't go there. He is in Colorado and allows 47% fly balls. He's also not allowing a lot of hard contact, but Colorado and fly balls just generally breed runs, so I can't take that. Tyler McGill, got to talk about him a little bit because he got some big-time hype over spring training as, developing new pitches and looked really good, and it looks like that is coming through. Couple starts back from the IL, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 Ks, 7 innings, no earned runs, 9 Ks versus the Dodgers. If he can shut down the Dodgers, he absolutely can shut down the Nationals, who their best hitter, CJ Abrams, has just looked terrible lately. 2.5 FIP over his last 5, 28% K rate. While I think these numbers are way too good, I don't think he is this. If he has gotten better throughout the offseason, this 4.3 number might be a little bit high. And if you're talking about a guy at 7.2K, is a value option, 25% combined K rate. It's at least interesting here. I don't mind having a little bit of McGill, but once again, it's risky. This is one of the better hitting conditions in the slate today. Don't go all in. Having a little bit is absolutely fine with me, and I'm skipping over everybody else because I don't like them. All right, on to FanDuel. Highest owned pitcher, Zach Wheeler. I want to bring up that Zach Wheeler, as far as our LineStar projections, he is 6 points under, or almost 6 points under Skubal, and he's more expensive. So I don't love going to Wheeler at this type of ownership on FanDuel. I think there's different ways we can go. Justin Verlander is another one. Don't love it. Now, both of these guys, I'm not saying fade 100%. Just, I'm probably not going to get to what our ownership is saying that they're at. I'm going to be probably well under that. I like Skubal. Definitely going to get some Skubal if he's, mid-teens. Kevin Gausman, absolutely fine going to some Gausman here. Even though it's a tough matchup, 8,200 is just cheap for a guy of his quality. Now, I would prefer Skubal, but Gausman's fine. Also, do not mind getting to some Waldron here. He's going to be super low owned. 31-point projection at 7.9. 3.9x is a little bit interesting. And then I don't mind having a little Grayson Rodriguez. If we look at this Baltimore and Toronto game, 7.5 game total. This game total could be one of the lowest game score or game totals on the slate, and I'm very interested. I'm interested in Gore. I think projection systems are just a little bit wrong on him right now. I know it's a tough matchup, so I wouldn't go overboard here. But I'm intrigued on Gore for sure. Tyler McGill, way too expensive on FanDuel, so I'm out there. Everybody else I'm pretty much out on. It is really Gore and above here that I'm interested in, and I'm going to be mixing and matching some of those lower-owned guys because, frankly, I think right now ownership is a little bit wrong on some spots. And this Colorado and Cincinnati game, it's going to be hard to get away from that too much. So with that, let's get into some stacks. All right, starting with the highest projected lineups. All right, highest owned lineups. Highest owned stacks, San Francisco right now versus Ryan Nelson. Look, Ryan Nelson isn't great, so I get it, but there is no way that they should be the highest owned when we have Cincinnati and Colorado on this slate. I do know Cincinnati is very, very expensive for being Cincinnati right now. Almost 27K for TJ, Ellie, Candelario, Steer, and Stephenson is pretty wild. So I don't think their ownership is going to get nuts on this slate because of that, but I do expect them to be the highest owned, and I'm definitely a bit intrigued to have some Cincinnati. San Francisco, I'm fine with, but I don't like them at this ownership. If they are one of the highest, if not the highest owned stack, I'm almost just out on them. The reason being it is so hard to get them right from a stacking standpoint. The Giants, just as a philosophy, like to platoon guys and pinch hit guys to get advantageous situations, And it just makes it hard to do a full 5-man stack. I'm fine with the 2, 3, or smaller stacks. I just don't want to go full in on the Giants. Next, highest projected stacks. And we got Cincinnati all over it here. No surprise, as I think they should be. Philadelphia is popping up a little bit as well in this situation versus Milwaukee. And I think it's going to be Bryce Wilson, but I'm not totally sure at this point. But Wilson's just kind of meh. Don't mind going there. Baltimore's popping up a little bit against Gausman. I'm fine with it just because Baltimore's offense is good, but I do really like Gausman. And Houston versus Kyle Gibson's popping up a little bit. The team that is not popping up that I really think should be is Colorado. We already saw that Andrew Abbott lets a ton of fly balls go. Colorado can hit in this stadium. It's a near pick'em, 11-point total. And Colorado's just, very slightly favorites. St. Louis popping up against Justin Verlander. I am totally in on that. Verlander, 4.76 FIP over his last 5. I think they can get to him. They've been hitting better. I don't hate it. Detroit's popping up against Nathan Eovaldi. I don't mind it whatsoever. Eovaldi likely doesn't go very deep, and that Texas bullpen's not very good, so don't hate going there. And let's check out the ceiling. And highest ceiling, Baltimore, Milwaukee, Angels popping up a little bit. I don't mind, I did say I like Waldron, and I do, but I don't mind going with some Angels. If he has any trouble with that knuckleball, it's going to be batting practice. So pretty much whenever Waldron is pitching, I've been taking a little bit of both sides. Unless he's been super high owned, then I've just been kind of fading him or had very, very little. Once again, Colorado's not popping up, and I think Colorado probably should be. Let's check the highest FIP over the last 20. Tyler Anderson versus my Padres. I don't mind having some Padres stacks. They've just been a very pesky offense ever since Arise has got there. Arise and Profar both are hitting a super high average. They get runners on base all the time. If Machado, Kim, Tatis, Cronenworth, can hit extra bases, it then becomes very, very interesting for those Padres stacks. Arias is going to have to do it through going, 3 for 4, 3 for 5, 4 for 5, something like that. But he absolutely can and keeps kind of getting it done. So I don't mind going there a little bit. Let's check the teams. All right, so Cincinnati, Colorado, both 5.8 implied totals. Very, very high implied totals. Now, Colorado is going way lower owned than I think they should be, and I'm going to probably have a lot of Colorado in this situation. I just don't think that Cincinnati should be so much higher owned than Colorado. Arizona versus San Francisco, another one we didn't talk about. We don't really know much right now about who's starting. I saw somewhere that it could be Spencer Howard, and if it's Spencer Howard, Arizona should definitely be decently owned. One thing about it is that it's in Arizona, so all the more reason to like them. It's not in San Francisco. Philadelphia is popping up. We talked about them. Don't mind it. Padres, 4.6. I'm definitely in on them. That Angels bullpen isn't very good either. And Tyler Anderson, well, he's been decent. He's been solid this year. He does have a FIP of 5 over his last 20 starts. Houston's been hitting the ball well. Kyle Gibson is kind of meh. Bullpen is decent, though. Washington has nice hitting weather. Don't mind going there. And Baltimore versus Gausman. Giants versus Nelson. Just all meh. Detroit for the fact that Evaldi may not go very deep, I'm a little bit intrigued there. So that'll do it for us today, guys. Looks like an interesting slate. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace!